challenge to our guys is to handle the psychology of success. Continue to stay grounded, continue to do the things you need to do to keep moving forward. That is head coach Mike Elko from Monday's press conference. For me, that's what it's all about. That's what I'm looking for out of this group. And it sounds like the coaches know what they need to do. And it's simply time for the players to respond. Howdy, howdy, fans of the 12th Man. Welcome into this episode of the Above the Yell. I am your host, Weston Pope. It is Wednesday, September 24th. We are moving on from the bye week and focusing our full attention on the Tigers from Auburn, Alabama, as they are set to make a trip to Kyle Field to face our Texas A&M Aggies Saturday. Kickoff is set for 1:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 2:30 p.m. Texas time on ESPN. I'll preview each team here in this episode, share my thoughts on how A&M wins, and of course, give my final prediction. Guys, thank you for watching. Views and subscribers continue to go up as the weeks move forward. So thank you for supporting a guy chasing his dream and this channel. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel as I plan to keep this thing rolling. To put it simply, there's been a lot of talk around the Texas A&M football program over the last 9 days since they beat Notre Dame in South Bend, Indiana. As nice as it's been, talk really only goes so far and lasts only so long. It's simply time to go out, walk the walk, and prove it for this football team. A&M has another great opportunity to do that this weekend against a quality opponent in Auburn. Speaking of Auburn, as I always do in these videos, let's get to know our opponent first. Simply what scares me about Auburn? What catches my attention? Well, Auburn is coming off a tough loss on the road to the Oklahoma Sooners in Norman. They are starting off their SEC campaign 0-1. Auburn lost that game last Saturday 24-17. Jackson Arnold was sacked 9 times, one of those being a sack for a safety late in the fourth quarter. There's been a lot of talk since then about this Auburn offensive line. And can A&M replicate what Oklahoma was able to do against that offensive line this Saturday? There's really one thing that I'm most confident in about this game, and it's the simple fact that the Auburn offensive line will probably be the strongest unit on that offense come this Saturday. That's just really the way that it seems to go more often than not. So I'm counting on that offensive line to come out with an attitude and a chip on the shoulder with something to prove, especially coming off that performance they had there in Norman, Oklahoma last Saturday with several opportunities to actually win that game. There's been a lot of talk around Auburn quarterback Jackson Arnold, who transferred in from the Oklahoma Sooners during the offseason. Been a lot of questions. Can he progress as a passer? Is he just a runner? We know he's been a great running threat for that offense. And at times, I think even he's looked good as a passer. Arnold was able to run for 137 yards and 2 touchdowns against Baylor in their season opener. They got a massive win there in Waco. He tossed 3 touchdowns against Ball State for 200. This is Jackson Arnold. He tossed 3 touchdowns against Ball State for 250 yards, and even in the loss last weekend to Oklahoma, he managed to throw for 220 yards and a touchdown. For those that watch the game, look, if Arnold connects on a couple of those deep balls to Cam Coleman, that game probably looks a lot different. With all that, with all that being said, what do we get from Arnold this Saturday? From what we've seen, I think he's a great runner and can be a good passer at times. I'm of the belief that anytime you add another running threat, that being in your quarterback, you can just simply be dangerous and very unpredictable. I think Jackson Arnold has the ability to kind of take the top off with his arm, especially if he's on point, in rhythm, and it can happen really any given Saturday. Yeah, needless to say, I think A&M's defense is going to have its hands full come Saturday, and I'll go so far to even say that this will probably be A&M's biggest test defensively yet. To me, reason being is it's just really, really difficult to key in on a mobile quarterback that like Jackson Arnold. Not only that, but you have to game plan for two very, very talented wide receivers in Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton Jr. In fact, Cam Coleman, he was heavily recruited by A&M, was committed to A&M at one point, and then flipped his commitment to Auburn later in that recruiting cycle. Um, Both of those guys, Coleman, Singleton, they have the ability to take the top off and score. Who's against this A&M defense, who's simply been lackluster and caught on their heels at times. Auburn has a very talented running back in Jeremiah Cobb, who's averaging over 7 yards per carry. I can't I can't even believe I'm reading that. That's over 7 yards a carry. That's I believe it's 7.2 yards a carry. So he is 2.8 yards away from running for a first down every time he touches the ball. Man, can't believe that. Simply, how does Auburn win this game? I think they hammered the ball against Texas A&M's 72nd ranked run defense. If I was the head coach at Auburn, I would take a look and I would say, that's where we're going first. We're gonna go at that. We're gonna go at Texas A&M's run defense, who really hasn't been able to stop the run consistently, and that's our point of attack all game. And I think by doing that, if Auburn can find success running the ball, Auburn could control the game, win the time of possession battle by keeping A&M's offense off the field. And truthfully, it kind of feels like Auburn is a little bit in wounded animal mode, back into a corner. And it's simply tough to go against a team like that. They are coming off that tough loss to Oklahoma. Watching that game, they had the opportunity to win. Unfortunately, they didn't come up in the moments they needed to. That being said, that's to me is what labels them as wounded animal mode, especially starting 0-1 in SEC play. So they're going to come out Saturday, and I could guarantee you they're going to give us their best. Defensively, Auburn has DJ Durkin, and we as Aggie fans are very familiar with his scheme since he was here for 2 seasons under Jimbo Fisher. Durkin is known for running a three-man front on the line, but it can vary between a 4-3 and 3-3-5 to simply just create some confusion and pressure for the quarterback. This year, at least the film that I've watched, and I haven't watched every single Auburn game, let alone every single minute of their games, but it looks like from what I've seen, Durkin has been able to get some pressure without sacrificing players in the secondary. I think Auburn has a really talented defensive line, and I do think that Auburn could find some success at getting pressure with just three-man fronts. And the reason that I think he might try to do that is because of the weapons that A&M has in Concepcion and Craver. If Auburn can manage to get home with three guys and drop everybody else in coverage or use everybody else's coverage, I think it's going to be tough. They've got some dudes on their defensive line, like I said, who just might be able to get home if the A&M offensive line is not dialed in. That's simply what I got for Auburn. Looking at our Texas A&M Aggies coming off of a rest week, as I said in a previous episode, bye weeks can either hurt you or help you. You can come out refreshed, rested, play some clean ball, or you can come out sloppy and out of rhythm. I think to get ahead of this game quick and to come out of this game with a win, A&M needs to come out clean and come out fast Saturday. We've seen this offense operate with Marcel, Concepcion, and Craver. It's no secret anymore. Defenses are going to be keying in on those guys. So it's going to be, I'm fascinated to see how they adjust because of those three guys that I just mentioned, they played really well against Notre Dame, against a quality defense. We know they're very talented, and I think other teams on A&M schedule are looking at it and keying up some schemes to try and limit those very talented guys. Good news for A&M. Auburn's pass defense ranks 91st in the country, allowing 233 yards per game through the air. For A&M, I'm looking at this, and I think you attack that pass defense of Auburn, who may even be down a starting cornerback this Saturday. On the other hand, Auburn has the fifth best run defense in the country and number one in the SEC. They're allowing a shocking, staggering only 1.9 yards per carry. In this game, I'm not really looking for a big Le'Veon Moss game, but if it's there, it's there. Ride the hot hand. I'm not saying it's not a possibility, but as the numbers reflect, it really doesn't look like it's going to be a ground and pound game necessarily for Moss. I think in this game, A&M has to limit penalties, get those cleaned up, and limit turnover worthy plays. I'm looking back at that Notre Dame game. Marcel was a little erratic with the football at times. He had the one pick, but I looking back on it, it looks like he could have had two more if those guys come up with catches. And I think you got to be better than that this Saturday. And I think they know it too. If you find yourself in a turnover day and Marcel is throwing a pick, or say he throws, in worst case scenario, several picks. Say that happens, Auburn is running the ball all over you and controlling the clock. It could get scary really quick for the home team. A&M has struggled to start fast on both sides of the ball this season. I don't actually have stats to back that up. That's just simply my opinion and my observation in the games that I've watched this year. And that's one of my keys to this game is if A&M is able to get out to a hot start and get ahead of Auburn early, and say Auburn is in this situation where they have to start throwing the ball to catch up, I feel good about our odds of winning this one. For A&M to win, these are kind of my keys. It's limiting turnover worthy plays, getting the ball to your best players, stopping the run, and capitalizing on special teams. We've seen Terry Bussey be very dangerous in the return game. Saw him house one against Notre Dame if it wasn't for a holding call. That being said, I imagine we will get into some field goal situations on Saturday. Place kicker Randy Bond sounds like he is the starter going forward. That's kind of been a position that's gone back and forth. Initially, starting the season, it was not Randy Bond as a starter. Now it is. That was confirmed actually today by Mike Elko. Randy Bond, I thought he had a pretty nice game against Notre Dame. He had the miss right there before halftime, but he made some really really much needed field goals there in the second half. If you can clean that up, have no misses come Saturday, I think A&M could move to 4-0 on the season and gets their first conference win this season. Outside of all that, this, as history shows, for A&M, unfortunately, more often than not, this seems to be a game that A&M loses. This is a game this Saturday that I think we're going to see if A&M has escaped that cloud of simply reaching the mountaintop and then quickly descending off that mountaintop. We've seen them get in these positions, get these big wins, these program changing wins, but it's simply to to me it's not a program changing win if you are not able to sustain that success moving forward. And I think if A&M is able to get a win Saturday, then it's going to continue to push the belief that okay, this is no longer the old A&M. This is the A&M that can find success and can sustain it and not fall short against teams that you're simply just not supposed to. A&M is currently a 6.5-point favorite in this game. At first glance, and for most of the week, I thought it was about 3 points too high, but I've had a change of heart. I'm going to lean with A&M. I've got A&M winning 30-23. That is my score prediction. I could see this game being tied at 23 late in the fourth, and A&M just finding a way to score with that offense they got and the weapons they have. I picked against my Aggies for Notre Dame, but I'm going to roll with them this Saturday. I think this is a huge matchup, a huge opportunity to further show that this is a program that is changed and is simply heading in the right direction. Um, because if you end up losing this game, then you are essentially falling right back into the narrative that you have always been in. So yeah, I'm looking for a big win Saturday just to just to show that they can sustain this success going forward. Guys, that's what I got for this game. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching. Guys, please drop your score predictions and thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and be on the lookout for an instant reaction episode to drop after the game Saturday. With that being said, until then, gig 'em and God bless, guys.